How's it going, everyone? Today we're going to talk about set operations, specifically union and intersection. Now, to begin, let's consider the following sets on the screen. You'll recall that a set is just a collection of unique objects. In this case, the two sets we have are actors in the movie The Dark Knight on the left in blue, and actors in the movie Inception on the right in green. Now, for those of you who have seen these movies, you'll know that these aren't complete casting lists, but at least two of the actors who are in The Dark Knight are in Inception. The orange area on the screen represents what is known as an intersection in set theory. An intersection operation is represented by this symbol, which looks kind of like a little upside down U. The intersection, therefore, of two sets A and B is the set that contains all elements of A that also belong to B, or equivalently, all elements of B that also belong to A, but no other elements. So in our movie example, the set that contains Michael Caine, and Cillian Murphy, I think that's how you say his name, Cillian Murphy, is the intersection of the two sets. Michael Caine and Cillian Murphy are both in The Dark Knight and in Inception. Now let's talk about the union operation. The union operation is defined as a collection of sets which is the set of all elements in the collection. Now that definition is a little wordy, but it basically means that the union operation combines sets and removes any duplicates, because remember, sets never have duplicates. The union operation is represented by this little U symbol. Now I'm going to give you a second to think about the following. What would the union of these two sets be? If the actors in the Dark Knight set is unioned with the actors in the Inception set, what is the outcome? Okay, hopefully you've thought about that for a second. The union of the two sets would be the set that contains all the actors. So let's write that out. The set would have, it would have Christian Bale, it would have Heath Ledger, it would have Michael Caine, it would have Cillian Murphy. It would have, Leonardo DiCaprio. We're moving on to Inception now, so it would have Leonardo DiCaprio. And finally, it would have Joseph Gordon-Levitt. So we wouldn't add Michael Caine and Cillian Murphy again, because if we did, it wouldn't be a set because there would be duplicates. And we already added them when we looked at actors in The Dark Knight, so because Michael Caine and Cillian Murphy are already in there, our complete set contains Christian Bale, Heath Ledger, Michael Caine, Cillian Murphy, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. So how might these operations be helpful in the real world? Well, let's say you're a politician and you have two sets of data. The first set contains the names of all the people in the United States who live in big cities. It'd be a big list. And the second list contains all of the people in the United States who don't have adequate health care. By doing a union of these two sets, you could find the people who either live in a big city or don't have health care, or both. And by doing the intersection, you could find the people who live in a big city and don't have adequate health care. Maybe by doing these set operations, you discover that, most people who live in big cities don't have adequate health care. So you could use that data in your policy making decisions, and you could use set theory, use these set operations that we've been talking about. Okay, let's move on to some examples. The first question for our examples says, state whether the following are true or false, and it has three sub-questions. So let's look at the first one. The first one says, If the set A contains the numbers 5, 6, and 7, and the set B contains the numbers 6, 8, 10, and 12, then the union, remember that little symbol for the union, is the set that contains the numbers 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 12. So we know, let's remember that the union of the two sets will contain everything in the first set and everything in the second set, but it will have no duplicates. So let's look at set A first. Set A has 5, 6, and 7. Does the union set have 5, 6, and 7? It sure does. So let's look at set B. Set B has a 6, and so does the union set. And B has 8, and 10, and 12, and so does the union set. So the union set contains everything from the individual sets, and let's look, it doesn't have any duplicates, so the statement is true. That is the union. Let's move on to the next one. If the set P contains the elements A, B, and C, and set Q contains the elements B, C, and D, then the intersection of P and Q contains B and C. Well, let's remember that the intersect operation will contain the elements that are common to both the sets. So if we look at the first set, we see that it has A, B, and C, and the second set has B, C, and D. So B and C are in both sets. A is in the first set, but it's not in the second set, so that one wouldn't be in there. And D is in the second set, but it's not in the first set. So the intersection would be the set that contains the letters B and C. So this one is true. The last question of the set says, the union of two sets is the set of elements which are common to both the sets. I'll give you a second to think about that one. Is that true? All right, hopefully you've had a second to think about that one, and hopefully you thought, hey, that's not right. If that's what you thought, then you're correct. The intersection of two sets, yes, the intersection, not the union of two sets, is the set of elements which are common to both the sets. The union of two sets is the set of elements which contains all the elements of the respective sets, not just those that are common to both sets. All right, so I hope this has been helpful, and as always, please like this video if you can, subscribe if you want, and maybe you can share it with some friends in class. Personally, I took discrete mathematics, and the videos I found to help me in discrete mathematics were almost always a little bit difficult to understand or had bad audio. So I tried to make these videos to help you guys out with this subject. Thanks again, and see you soon.